Hello, Broadway stars. Welcome to our webinar. Whether you're watching live or watching the recorded version, we're super glad you're here. I'm Lori Johnson, principal at Broadway Elementary, which is the best job in the world. And I'm joined by Annalisa McCann, first grade teacher and regional teacher of the year last year. And Kelsey is going to be our moderator. We've been busy for many weeks, actually back into the spring, getting ready for the first day of school next week. The first day of school has always been one of my favorite days of the year, honestly, right up there with Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, because it brings back memories of my own first days of school. And I was one of those kids who could not wait to go to school when I was little. And I still feel that excitement every year when school starts. I have to admit, preparing for this school year has been very different and very challenging, and I've had to step back mentally many times and refocus on our priorities. Our Broadway Stars motto, which is right behind me, has actually served as a great guide as I've worked through lots of questions and unknowns. As the motto says, our first priority is to stay safe, and that guides our work every day as we contemplate how this new school year will work. Broadway and Central Valley School District are committed to the health and safety of our students, staff, and families, and we've created an education system that's nimble and will enable us to transition into in-person learning when it's safe to do so. We miss you, and we're super disappointed that it will be a bit longer before we're able to see you in person, but we're excited about the new virtual learning options that will keep our students engaged, connected, and learning. Our teachers are prepared to make this a fun, exciting, and successful year for our students. Today, our purpose is to go through some back-to-school information that we hope will be helpful and answer many of your questions, and to take questions live through the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. I know we won't get to all your questions today, and if you're watching the recorded version, you may have questions that weren't answered. If your question doesn't get answered in our live webinar, I wanted you to know we will capture any questions that remain in the Q&A at the end of today, and we'll create a link of the most commonly asked questions to share out with families, along with a link of the recording of this session. If you would like a personal response to a question, please type your name and question into the box, and we'll get in touch with you personally. So let's get started.
Hey there, like Mrs. Johnson said, my name is Annalisa McCann and I am a first grade teacher. I want to begin by talking about some important dates for families to know about. Chromebook pickup is going to continue through September 11th at both of our high schools. You will receive your teacher and class assignments through email by Friday, which is tomorrow at 4 p.m. We are going to have a supply pickup on Tuesday, September 8th, the day before school, and that will be available from 9:30 to 3:30. So when you come, you will get a bag of school supplies along with your child's curriculum materials that go with their grade level. Our first day of school, which we're super excited about, is Wednesday, September 9th, and your teachers will be ready on Zoom right at 9:30. And then we will be having parent connection meetings September 9th through 11th. If you are a kindergarten parent, those meetings could be any time in the day. For grades 1 through 5, we will start at 12:30 and they will be available till 3:30, and they will be half an hour time chunks. So as we prepare for fall at Broadway Elementary in our virtual setting, there are some important things that we just want you to know about. Families will be using a single platform to receive communication, and that is Blackboard Ultra. There will be training for parents through online videos, which I believe you can access on the district website. During our family conferences that we have next week, your teacher will also make sure you are familiar with how to log on to that platform. We also want you to know that we really will be focusing on social emotional learning to begin the year. We understand that the last 6 months has been really difficult for you and your children. And so we just want to focus on reconnecting with our students, building relationships, and getting them excited about being back in school. Special education teachers have been and will be contacting you if you have a student who has an IEP. When we think about a typical school day for our virtual environment, we have a variety of different models that we'll be using. We will be using live instruction through Zoom. So as a teacher, I will be teaching just like this to your students. We will also have small group work available where the teacher will be meeting with a smaller group of kids on Zoom to better meet their needs. We will also be providing independent work. So after doing some live instruction, we will be giving students things that they can work on independently off screen. There will be times for you to access the teacher with questions through email, maybe phone conferences, just to make sure that everything is going successful. We will have 2 breaks during the day. We'll have at least a 15-minute break in the morning and a 15-minute break in the afternoon where your child can use the bathroom, get a snack, get some exercise, and just take a break from being on the screen. And then we will have a lunch period in the day where they can leave, have lunch, and again, just have a break. And there will be different resources available where you can reach out to our counselor and our special education teachers. This is a look at an example elementary school schedule. We, as a grade level, will each have our own schedule that might look similar to this or a little different. We all are going to be starting our day at 9:30 with a morning meeting. This is where we're gonna reconnect with our students, check in to see how they're doing, do some fun getting to know you activities, again, to really build those relationships and those connections. One example might be at 10, from 10 to 10:30 to have some kids doing some independent work, other kids meeting with a teacher in small group. Then there might be a whole group lesson from our ELA curriculum, and then another half an hour where the students are doing small groups or independent work. And you can see there's a 15-minute break for bathroom, snack, or brain break. This doesn't necessarily mean this is the time your child will have, but they will have a 15-minute break in the morning. Then there's a little bit more time for whole group instruction and small groups and independent time before lunch. After lunch, there's a math block. Again, some small groups and independent time. We have a half an hour designated to science or social studies enrichment, another 15-minute break, and then ending the day again with science or social studies, a class meeting. And then teachers will be available from 3:10 to 3:40 to support students, meet with families on the phone or over Zoom to support you. This again is just a sample schedule. Your kids will be involved in live instruction, independent work, and small group settings to help really meet their needs as learners.
All right, last spring we distributed lots of Chromebooks and iPads. iPads are no longer supported, so if you have an iPad or you don't have a Chromebook or your Chromebook isn't working, there are hours for you to go ahead and exchange those and get what you need. So those are on your screen Monday through Friday, 9 to 1 and 3 to 7 at both high schools, Central Valley High School and University High School. We are also working to provide internet options and resources for families. So if that's a need that you have, if you're not hearing the information you need, make sure you get in touch with us. And there is a help support desk for if you're having difficulty with your technology, we have people to help you with that. We also have meal distribution. It's free for all Broadway families. So you have a couple of options. You can either pick up a meal daily, Monday through Friday between 11 and 1. You would get one lunch and one breakfast, and that's a drive-up curbside meal pickup. Another option that might work better if you're trying to squeeze in a lunch during your half-hour break from teaching in the classroom, you can pick up a box weekly. You can either drive up or pre-order those, and you get 5 breakfasts and 5 lunches all in one box, so you can make one trip and it'll last you the whole week. So those are available Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday only, 7:30 to 9:30 and 11 to 1. If you need extra help anywhere along the way, please let us know. We are all here to help. You can email us, or you will be getting your assignment for your child's teacher. We said 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, but I actually think it'll be quite a bit sooner than that, so you can be watching your email for that. Your child's teacher will be your primary contact for whatever help you need, but we're all here to help you. So give us a call, email. I'm one of those people that has my phone with me with my email almost all the time, so we'll get back to you quickly. And you can always just call us at the front office. So the biggest question that we always get is, when do you think we're going to be able to transition to in-person learning? And as soon as safely possible, we will absolutely do that. So we are following the Department of Health and Spokane Regional Health District guidelines. Remember our STARS motto, stay safe, very first on our list. And we are prepared. We've designed our curricular pieces so that we can nimbly move into in-person learning without big skips in our curriculum, and it will all flow smoothly together when we're able to do that. And we are prepared. We have health and safety protocols for distancing, for daily health checks, for cleaning. Our meals, transportation, and logistics are all in place and ready to go as soon as we are okay to do that. So we're excited about that possibility. At this time, let's move to some questions and answers. If we have any questions in the queue that maybe we can answer at this time. I don't know what those are. Right. We have received questions about additional supports for students that we might have. We have community supported sites available at many of our local churches and a couple of other organizations, and we have employees that are working at those sites to help our kids. So if you are in a situation where both parents are working during the day and you're not really sure who's going to stay with your kids during the day and help them, those sites are available on our website for you to go ahead and get on and sign up for those. So that's a great, tremendous service that we're doing in partnership with our community.
We have a couple questions that have come in through the Q&A feature. Question for Principal Johnson and Annalisa. Are the students going to be taking lunch at the same time? Could you speak to that, please?
Yes, our schedule is set up so that all students, K-5, will all have lunch from 12 to 12:30. We did that to make it easier for families to plan around. So every student will have lunch from 12 o'clock to 12:30.
And I believe that matches the schedule for secondary as well. So if you have kids in your family at multiple levels, you can all plan to have lunch at the same time.
Great. Another theme that has come through the question and answer feature for the panelists. Can folks use a home computer rather than a Chromebook?
Absolutely. If you have your own devices that work for you, you're absolutely able to use those. We have school devices for those who need them, but absolutely.
Great. Another question that has come through regarding kindergartners for the panelists. How are kindergartners that can't read going to learn from a computer? Could you speak to that, please?
Boy, that is a great question. I think we're all thinking about our kindergartners starting school online. The power of the platforms that we're using is that they can have face-to-face interactions with their teachers. All of our young children are kind of in the same boat with a large span of reading abilities and skills. I've seen the packets that teachers are putting together for the kids, and I know that there's some flashcards and things to practice with going into those kindergarten packets. But I think the power of our model is that we have a teacher face-to-face online that can talk with them and work with them and teach very similarly to how they would do in the classroom. So Annalisa teaches first grade. So I'll let her add to that if she wants to.
Yeah, I agree that that's a great question, one that I have been thinking about as a first grade teacher, knowing that a lot of my kids that I'm gonna get didn't get full in-person kindergarten. One of the things that we're doing with our curriculum for reading is we will be teaching kids in small groups based on assessments that we will give virtually. And the books that we use in small groups, we actually have them already digitally on the computer. So I could meet with a student, a kindergarten student, one-on-one through Zoom, and they can see the book through the screen that I share and read along, and I can coach them just as if I were side by side in the classroom. It's not the same, but I think that teachers, especially kindergarten teachers who are amazing, are getting really creative with how they can still support those emergent readers at home. Another great aspect is we have MobyMax, which is an app or an online digital platform that students can use, and it's adaptable. So as your students, even those kindergartners, are doing phonics practice on MobyMax, it actually adapts to how they're doing and increases. So it's differentiated at their level. So there will be a component of one-on-one small group support from the teacher and also through the MobyMax app that will meet their individual needs. So hopefully that helps answer that question.
That's great, thank you. We've had a couple questions kind of asking about how virtual learning is structured with meetings. So can you talk a little bit about how students might follow their schedules? Are they jumping between different Zoom meetings throughout the day, or do they stay on one meeting? Can you speak a little bit to how they're structured?
Yeah, I can speak to that. Our idea is we will have a Zoom link that's reoccurring, which means every day it's going to be the same exact link that will be posted to your Blackboard. And once you click on the link, the kids will just stay all day with that same link. There will be times throughout the day during breaks and lunch that will ask them to turn off their camera and mute, but we really want to make it easy and take some stress off of having to join Zoom multiple times. So our goal at Broadway is to just have one Zoom link a day. Of course, if they're going to be meeting with a reading teacher or special education, that might look a little different, but for the most part, it should only be one meeting a day.
That's great, thank you. Another kind of follow-up question to that, a question we received in the chat was, do students need to follow their schedule very rigidly? Do they need to follow it exactly, or is there room for flexibility in a given day?
Well, we're all going to have to be flexible. That's the name of the game. I think the more closely they can follow that schedule that the teacher is putting out, especially for those students who have chosen the school paced schedule, I think following that as closely as you can is important. Obviously, we have to be very flexible and give each other grace because this is new and different, and we do that at the beginning of school anyway. Kids are not used to being in school during the summer. We closed school in March, so it's been a while since kids have been in the classroom. So we will definitely have to be flexible. If you've chosen a self-paced option, then it's definitely self-paced. But if it's school-paced, we do recommend that you try to follow it with flexibility built in where we need to.
That's great. Can you speak to transportation options? We're getting questions from families who might need support with transportation.
That's something that we're still working on. So I think, and again, the only students that we're talking about right now would be students who are coming in for resource room to access their resource room minutes. And we're still working on putting that together. So if you have a specific question about that, I would invite you to put your name and your question in the chat, and we'll get back to you on that, because that's transportation is a big logistics piece, and everybody's a little different. So go ahead and put your name in the chat, and we'll get back to you about that.
Great. We have a question about the free lunch program. Is this something that families need to apply for, or could you maybe explain a little bit about how that process works?
So initially I would have said yes, but I believe at this point, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe at this point families can access free meals. I believe it's through December, and then we'll go from there if needed. But I believe right now it's open to all of our families.
Great. A question about checking out books. Can families check out books from the library?
Well, that's a new question that I haven't been asked yet. So at this point, we don't have plans for that because I'm not sure how that would go. So right now we're doing books online. So we have online programs that have a large library of books, and we'll be doing virtual books for right now. And I don't know if we'll be able to offer library checkout before we return to in-person school or not. That's a great question, but right now our books will be virtual.
Great. If a child can't participate for a day, do parents need to call in to report an absence, or what should parents do in that case?
Boy, you guys have some great questions. We will be tracking attendance. So I would at this point say yes, not knowing exactly what that attendance tracking is going to look like in our virtual world, but right now I would say yes. If you need to miss a day, go ahead and call in and let us know. Probably be a good idea to let the teacher know so that they can accommodate for that within their plans and get your child caught up when they're back, or however that looks. But for right now, I would say yes, we will be doing attendance tracking, and I would say yes.
Would you be able to speak a little bit to online safety and security, just with having students using Chromebooks?
I will, and then I'm going to let Annalisa follow up with her view of that as a teacher. Our district controls what happens on the district devices. So that is one advantage of using a district device as opposed to maybe one of your own family's devices. We have a program on there. If students do try to access something they're not supposed to access, I get an alert, the counselor and I both receive an alert, and then we follow up with the student and the parents if they're putting in something that's concerning for a safety reason or just an inappropriate site on that device. We're notified of that and follow up even over the summer. So the district can see what's happening on those devices. That being said, we also pre-teach our expectations for online behavior, just like we would for behavior in the classroom. So we pre-teach that and then adjust and modify and help kids and parents as needed. And I'll let Annalisa follow up from her classroom perspective as well.
I actually taught virtual summer school this couple weeks ago. So I have some great experience on just setting up the expectations. Just like we do in the classroom and at school, we have our Broadway stars matrix. So like Mrs. Johnson referenced in the beginning, stay safe, try our best, act responsibly, respect everyone and everything, and solve our problems. So we will have created expectations for virtual learning that we will share with you during our family conferences, and we will share with the students, of course, the first few days of school, and then constantly refer back. Along with that, we are going to continue to reinforce positive behavior through virtual rewards. So your child's teacher might actually have a physical jar where they're adding marbles or warm and fuzzies so the kids can still earn a class reward on Friday, like coming to school in their pajamas or whatever it might be. And so even though we're in a virtual setting, we're really going to be reinforcing the positive, safe behavior that we would expect our students to have in school. So you can expect the first few days of your child's learning, you'll probably hear a lot about virtual expectations and how we can be successful when we're learning at home. And obviously as teachers, we will give grace for that, because for everyone, learning at home is new, and we are just going to work really hard at setting up a safe learning environment for your students.
Thank you for that. Kind of a follow-up to one of the previous questions regarding Chromebook safety and usage. Will parents be notified if the district does flag something or notice something? Can you speak to that, please?
Yes, how that works is, and it's within like a minute. If a student tries to access an inappropriate site, I receive an email, our counselor receives it as well, just in case one of us is away from our computer, and it's like within a minute we get that, and then we can immediately go on to the computer and see what happened, and then we immediately call the parent. So that's our process within the building for dealing with that. So if something like that has happened, you will know quickly.
Thank you. A question that came through, if a family chooses a virtual learning option at the start of the year, do they have the ability to switch later in the year at some point?
We will definitely be as flexible as we can. The issues that we come up against is that our classes fill up, as they always do when we're in person. So we will be absolutely as flexible as we can because things change and situations change. And so we will certainly try to do that. People who have chose option 1 or 4 have been assigned to a Broadway teacher, so it's a little bit easier to flex between those 2 options. The school-based options are easier because you've already been assigned a teacher either way, whether you're option 1 or option 4, you're just doing school-paced or self-paced, so it's pretty easy to switch between those 2. So we can definitely do that. We'll work with you if things come up and you need to make a switch. So yeah, we'll just have to all be kind of flexible.
Great. A question about dress code. Will there be a dress code requirement or recommendation during virtual learning?
So what we said was that our dress code and our behavior codes are the same as if we were in person at school. Obviously, you can only see like this much, so you can have your pajama pants on and we would never know. But basically our expectations for our classrooms are the same as they would be at school. So we want kids to wear, I mean, a t-shirt, you know, be standing up, not in bed, and ready to participate in their lessons. Did you have anything to add to that, Annalisa?
No, I would, like you said, just encourage the kids to wear what they would wear to school. I think even for me as a teacher, I could be in my sweats, but getting ready gets me in that mode to teach and to learn. So I think that's the same for the students. And then if they earn things through our rewards, then having like a pajama day or crazy hat day becomes something that's still special and unique.
That's great. Thank you both. Would you be able to speak to the school's plan in the event that someone in the school does test positive for COVID-19?
So I'm going to have Marla answer that question. She's going to pop in.
Hi there, everyone. We are working right now on all of that process and what that looks like, but what we have done is in our planning for reopening schools, we have put our schools into various zones, so that will actually have various areas of the school that only have contact with that area. So we're limiting contact as much as we can and making sure that we're social distancing and wearing our masks so that we have the least amount of people affected. But we do have communications that would go out to families in that instance. Of course, we can't identify who that is, but we would let you know if there was any case that involved your student or any contact made in that. So we do have a plan in place, and we'll be putting that out onto our website very, very soon.
Thanks, Marla. We have a question from a parent about, is there any potential for field trips this year?
Well, we can take virtual field trips all over the world. How else could we go to Paris and see the Eiffel Tower? So yeah, I think as far as we know right now, we probably will be limited to virtual field trips. Who knows what the next few months will bring, but it's going to be difficult because of all the social distancing to be able to take a real live in-person field trip right at this point.
Right. Any more questions? Feel free to add your thoughts and questions to the chat. We have a question from a parent about class size. How many students are in each class? Can you speak to the makeup of classes?
So right now we have less than 17 in K through 3 and less than 18 or less in 4 and 5. And the district went through a process of measuring all the classrooms and creating maps about how the rooms needed to be set up so that we have adequate social distancing between all the students and the teacher when we can come back in person. So we created our virtual classes planning ahead for that, so that if you have Miss McCann online right now, you'll come back and have Miss McCann in person. And then if we need to quarantine for a while or close down, you'll go back to having Miss McCann online. So yeah, those numbers have been limited so that we can have that adequate social distancing in the classrooms that we have.
A great question that just came in. Can the panelists speak to the impact you think there might be on having smaller class sizes to learning?
I'll jump in. I mean, yes, having a smaller class size has such a positive impact on student learning. In the past few years, I've had under 20 students, and you can really meet with students more often one-on-one or in small groups. So I think having small class sizes, especially returning in person where we would really have to be focused on social distancing, it will just make it a lot easier to meet with students one-on-one and in small groups. You get to know the students so much better when there's less kids, and they become a really close-knit community. So it has a lot of positive impacts.
I wanted to mention too that as a parent, you may not see that many students on your child's screen if you chose option 1, because as I said, we put option 1 and option 4 students in the same classroom so that they can, those are both, there's a school-paced and a self-paced option that are following the school schedule. So those parents who have chosen option 4 won't be in the daily classroom schedule every single day. So as a parent, you may not see all 17 of those kids or 18 of those kids on your child's screen if you chose option 1.
That's great, thank you. Would you guys be able to speak some more to what recess would look like and breaks throughout the day that students can expect?
Do you know if that question was regarding the virtual setting or when we're allowed to return to the in-person setting?
I think the in-person setting.
Okay. As Marla mentioned a little bit earlier, we've created cohorts within the building, and what that means is that rather than having the entire school out at recess all at once, we've created smaller groups. So we may have just first graders, or we may have just kindergartners and first graders out there at once, so that we're minimizing, even though they're still having recess, we're hoping we're minimizing the number of people that they have contact with. The plan so far is for students to eat lunch in their classrooms, so minimizing that, having everybody in the cafeteria all at once together. So really, and then recesses, being outside is, you know, they have a little bit more space than if they're kind of squished in the cafeteria at the table. So we do plan to incorporate recess. Of course, we always take the direction from the health department and what they're recommending. But we have looked at those cohort groups to just keep kids kind of with a smaller number. So we've separated the entrances at the beginning of the day. Dismissal, we're trying to separate everybody out so that the number of interactions that any given child has are minimized as much as possible.
That's great. And just as a follow-up question, are there going to be breaks built in for students who are learning virtually? Can you speak to that?
I'll speak to that. Our district is actually requiring that all teachers put one 15-minute break in the morning and one 15-minute break in the afternoon, and that's the minimum. So teachers will use their kind of professional judgment. If they notice their kids are getting a little wiggly, we'll have a go noodle, which is dancing or exercise, just different activities to get the kids moving. We're really going to encourage in the 15-minute morning and afternoon breaks that we are off screen. So we will encourage the kids to go to the bathroom, get a snack, get some water, maybe get some fresh air, because we do understand the importance of getting away from our screen. So yes, teachers are going to make sure that the students have a lot of breaks throughout the day to really give them a break from the screen time and get a little exercise and movement in, because we know that's what our brains need.
Great. For students learning remotely, are there opportunities for them to connect with their peers at all during the day or during the week?
For students who are following a school-paced schedule, they will see their class online. And as we talked about today, you know, we're used to having everything very structured, but one of the teachers mentioned that every once in a while she would just open the camera during a break and just let kids chat and have their own conversations. And I think that's important. We forget about that in a live classroom, we have times when kids just talk to each other and develop their language skills and connect and learn about each other and have friends. And those are very natural pieces that we need to have happen. So I believe that it's important to let that happen, even though we're online and the teacher is, you know, there monitoring the conversations. But I think giving them some free time to talk and share. They definitely have discussion and share around academic topics, but I think we also need to incorporate that time to just talk about what kids want to talk about and get to know each other. So I think that's important, and that's a big piece of that social connection piece that I think this platform will offer for our kids. Did you want to add to that, Annalisa?
I have a question about if a parent did not choose a learning option, what group were they placed into?
Well, we have reached almost every parent. So we did not make any choices for kids. We had the parents make the choices. So that really didn't happen because the secretary and I were on the phone for probably 3 to 4 straight days plus sporadic calls after that. So we reached every single family and had them make a choice. And if somebody is feeling like they didn't make a choice, you can absolutely contact the school.
That's great. I know we've talked about breaks throughout the day, but some parents are asking about, is there a structured physical education curriculum that's a part of learning this year? Is there any type of structured PE?
At this time, when we're in person, our kids typically have gone to a PE class with a PE specialist, and we will not be doing that this year because of our smaller class size. Those teachers are actually teaching their own classes, whether it's here at Broadway or assigned through our virtual academy. So the movement and PE will be integrated by classroom teachers throughout their scheduled day. So we will not be seeing the PE specialists, but definitely have to have movement, and that'll be happening during the class day with the classroom teacher.
And we have in our schedule, everybody should have 30 minutes a day blocked off for fine arts and movement. And it might look different for every classroom. So one class might do a physical fitness activity one day, art one day, music the next day, or it just might be little activities within that 30 minutes. Again, we know it's really important to have all those components in your child's day. So we are going to work hard to do that. I can't say I'm super excited about teaching music, but I will do my best as a first grade teacher.
That's great. We're getting some questions from parents asking about, you know, what's a parent's involvement going to look like? Are there resources to support parents who are maybe working, and you know, what is their involvement or time commitment look like?
Well, that's a great question, and I think it can be as little or as great as you want it to be and you're able to do within your schedule. We have the whole spectrum from people who are wanting kids to be online with their classroom teacher for the the day, which is a good chunk of our kids that selected option 1. And then we have some school-paced virtual students as well. And then we have families who have chosen to be self-paced and be highly involved in their children's learning this year. So there's really a complete spectrum. On the district website, there are trainings available for parents. I'll be sending some of those out as well that you can access and will be helpful for you to know to help your kids get logged on, especially the littler ones, to access their learning online. But there's a lot available, so it's really as much or as little as you'd like it to be.
Great. We're hearing from parents wondering about if there will be teacher meet and greets or a teacher orientation of some kind this year.
So the first thing we'll be doing is Tuesday during the supply pickup. That'll be our first kind of in-person contact. And then we're planning to do a virtual back to school night. We're going to wait a couple weeks until school has started and then figure out what our needs are to do that. But we will be doing some kind of virtual back to school night to introduce parents to the school administration, to our counselor, to our PTO, and all the other pieces of the school in addition to the classroom teacher. So more to come on that.
So we are nearing the end of our time. So Principal Johnson, if you would like to close us out.
You bet. I just wanted to thank everyone for joining us. As I said before, we'll be posting and sending out the link to this recording, and we will do a Q&A to answer other questions that maybe we were unable to get to today. If you have a personal question, like I said, that you'd like a response on, go ahead and put it into the chat with your name, and I can give you a call later today or tomorrow. And you're always welcome to call us or email anytime. I would much rather have you call or email than be wondering about something. We just have to all get through this together, and we're all here to help you. I hope you have a great start to the school year. We are planning on Tuesday next week from 9:30 to 3:30 is what we're thinking. I'll send that out soon for families to just do a drive-through, picking up their packets and their school supplies, their workbooks, and all the things that you'll need to get started with school. So I'll be out there, and I hope to see you on Tuesday next week, and hopefully we'll be able to see people in person soon. But in the meantime, I think we have a great plan. We're excited about it, and I just wish you a great start to the school year.